Alright, guys, welcome to another episode of Awaken Soul, where the love begins. Today, we're gonna address feminism. We're gonna talk about feminism,
Let's go.
the
You.
history, now,
All right, guys,
and
welcome to another
offer.
episode of Awaken Soul, where the love begins. Today, we're diving into a topic that gets people real fired up feminism. But we're not here to argue. We're here to awaken, reflect, and get to the root. So buckle up. Yeah, let's keep it 100. Feminism started because women were straight up oppressed. No voice, no vote, no power. The early feminists weren't out here trying to dominate men. They just wanted to be seen and treated like real people. Exactly, but over time it shifted. First it was about rights, then culture, then empowerment. But somewhere along the line it started to feel off. Like we lost the message. Now it's like we're stuck in a battle instead of building bridges. Facts. You got one side screaming equal pay and another yelling, men ain't allowed to speak. That's not awakening. That's just noise. Real growth means both sides gotta heal, not just win. So today, we're breaking down the history of feminism, what went right, what went sideways, and what we need to get back to. If you're tired of the blame game and ready for real understanding, this one's for you. Let's awaken together. Let's talk truth. Want me to keep going with the next segment?
Yes, let's go.
All right, here's the next segment. So let's rewind. First wave feminism, late 1800s to early 1900s. Women couldn't vote, couldn't own property, couldn't even have a bank account without a man. They were basically invisible in society. That first wave, it was about basic rights, just being seen, right? They weren't asking for luxury. They were asking for freedom, the right to exist as full citizens. That's it. And after a long fight, they finally got the vote in the early 1900s. But the job wasn't done. Nope, cue second wave, 1960s to 80s. This time, it was about the home, the workplace, and control over your body. Women were expected to just be moms and housewives. If they wanted to work or chase goals, society gave them the side eye. Me. And that's when things like equal pay, birth control, and divorce rights hit the front lines. The message was loud. We want choices. Not every woman wanted to be a housewife. Some wanted to work. Some wanted both. They just wanted the freedom to choose. And then we hit the third wave, the 90s. Feminism went from being one movement to a bunch of different voices. You had women of color, LGBTQ voices, different religions, all saying, hey, our struggles matter too. It got complex real fast. Me facts. But with that complexity came confusion. Some people thought feminism now meant do whatever you want. No consequences. Others thought it turned into man-bashing. That's where things started splintering. And now we're in the fourth wave, social media age. It's loud, it's fast. Me Too exposed real abuse. That was powerful. But also, some people weaponized it. It's easy to cancel, harder to communicate. It's like the movement went from awareness to aggression. And honestly, that's where a lot of people checked out. Not because they don't care about women, but because they don't feel welcome in the convo anymore. Exactly. Feminism was never supposed to be about tearing one side down. It was supposed to be about lifting everyone up. That's where we need to return. And that's what we're going to get into next. How we fix it. Want me to keep going with that?
So, if we're asking for equality, are we giving somebody the power to give us equality instead of owning our equality?
Oof, that's a real one. So here's the question we need to ask. If we're asking for equality, are we low-key handing someone else the power to grant it to us? Exactly. Like, if I gotta beg for a seat at the table, that means the table ain't mine. That's not equality. That's permission. And permission can be taken back. Real equality means we walk in with value, knowing we belong. Not waiting for a nod from the system or approval from someone in power. It's not about being given a voice. It's about using it. Regardless, me. Because when you know your worth, you stop asking, you just start being. That's when real change hits. Not from begging, but from embodying the truth. I matter, I'm enough, and I'm here. So maybe the next step in this convo isn't about demanding equality, it's about owning it. Because once we start living like we already have it, the world adjusts. But it does. Want to shift into how that mindset could reshape the whole movement?
Why are we fighting for something that we already have? Equal rights. Giving the power to someone who give it, if they willing to give it to us.
You spittin'. You. While we're out here fighting for something we technically already have, equal rights, we're also giving the power away. Like, we're waiting for somebody else to say, okay, now you can have it. That's wild. Yeah, like, if the law already says you have rights, but you're still begging culture or people to treat you like it's true, that's not equality, that's submission. You're free, but you're acting like you're still chained. Exactly. And the moment we act like someone else gets to decide our worth or our rights, we already lost. They ain't giving us power. We're handing it over. It's like saying, I'll be equal when you say I can be. Nah, we need to stop chasing approval and start walking in the truth that it's already ours. Then it's not about asking, it's about expecting and embodying. You. So maybe it's time to stop fighting for permission and start building our own tables. Because if you're always waiting to be let in, you'll never know what it's like to lead. Want to flip that into what real empowerment looks like next?
Yes. Let's look at it.
Let's hit it. You. So if we're done begging for a seat, done chasing permission, what does real empowerment look like? It looks like creating your own lane. Owning your voice. Knowing your worth doesn't come from a system, a title, or someone else's validation. It comes from within, and how you carry yourself shows it. You. Empowerment isn't loud for the sake of noise. It's confident, not cocky. It's walking in rooms like you belong there. Because you do. No apology, no fear. Me, and here's the real twist. Empowerment ain't just for women. Men need it too, because when both sides are strong, healed, and secure, nobody needs to dominate. We grow together. Facts. Real feminism should have been about balance, not tipping the scales the other way. Because power struggles create more wounds. But empowerment, that builds bridges. Me. So maybe the new wave of awakening isn't about us versus them, it's about us and them. Because when we all rise, we don't need to fight for scraps. We create more seats, more tables, more impact. That's where the love begins. And that's where healing starts. Ready for the wrap-up segment, or want to dig into solutions next?
Yeah, let's dig into solutions. How we can get back to equality instead of fighting for something that we already have.
Let's go deep on that. You. So if equality is already written in the laws, the real fight isn't for rights, it's for respect. For understanding, for healing. So what do? Me, first we gotta stop acting like enemies. We're not on opposite teams. Women and men, we're both human, both hurting, both trying to figure life out. Let's stop making each other the villain and start listening. You, that means less canceling, more conversations, less assumptions, more curiosity. If you don't know what someone's been through, ask. Don't judge. Don't preach. Connect. And we gotta hold our own accountable too. If a dude's being trash, men need to check him. If a woman's abusing her platform, women need to call that out. Truth checks both sides. That's what makes it powerful. You. Also, stop trying to win the pain Olympics. I've suffered more than you isn't a solution. It's a distraction. The goal is healing, not ranking who hurts more. Preach. And lastly, teach the next generation differently. Show our sons how to honor women. Show our daughters how to walk in confidence. Model balance, model love. That's how we build a better future, not fight over the past. You, equality is not a gift. It's a mindset. If we walk in it, live it, expect it, the world slowly shifts. Not by force, but by example. Me. And that's the real revolution. Want to ride into the outro next?
So why are we debating about equality? What are we not understanding?
Oof, that's the million-dollar question. You. So why are we still debating about equality if it's already written into the laws, already part of the system? Why is it still such a hot topic? Because even though it's written down, it's not always lived out. People's hearts haven't caught up to the paperwork. You can't legislate love, respect, or maturity, and that's the real gap. You. So instead of fighting laws that are already there, we should be fighting the mindsets that keep people stuck in old patterns. It's not about what's legal. It's about what's normalized. Yep. And because people don't feel heard, they keep shouting louder, thinking that'll change minds. But yelling doesn't heal. Listening does. Real change comes from understanding, not just arguing. You. So maybe the debate isn't even about equality anymore. Maybe it's about fear, pride, control, and people not wanting to let go of power or pain. Exactly. Equality is not just about rights. It's about responsibility. And that part? Most folks don't want to talk about it. Want to flow that into the outro and seal this episode?
So why do we feel the need to fear? What is there to fear?
You. So let's talk about it. What are we really afraid of? Why all the fear around equality, around balance, around just being? Honestly, people fear losing control. If you've been on top, equality can feel like a threat, like you're giving something up. But equality doesn't mean less for you. It means more for all. You, and some fear being replaced. Like if they rise, what happens to me? But that's a scarcity mindset. We're not fighting over one seat. We're building a bigger table. Me, others fear being wrong. If you've lived a certain way your whole life and someone tells you it hurt others, that's hard to face. Accountability feels like shame, but it doesn't have to be. We also fear change. Equality demands growth. It challenges comfort zones. And let's be real, growth is uncomfortable, but that's where the breakthrough is. So we gotta choose, fear or freedom. You can't hold on to both. You, and we're here to remind you, love doesn't shrink. It expands. And if you're walking in fear, you're not walking in love. That's the heart of this episode. Don't fear equality. Embrace it, not just for others, but for yourself. You, because where love begins, fear ends. And that's Awaken Soul. Want the full wrap up next?
So we should stop feeling entitlement for equality and we should live it.
Exactly. That's it right there. You. So maybe the real shift is this. We should stop feeling entitled to equality and just start living it. Yeah, because entitlement says you owe me, but empowerment says I am. If you know who you are, you don't wait for permission. You become the proof. You. And when we live it, we stop chasing validation. We stop arguing with people who don't see us. We move in purpose, not protest. That's where the real power hits. And people feel that energy. When you live equal, not demand it, it speaks louder than any post, protest, or policy. You. So let this be a call. Not to fight harder, but to stand stronger. In truth, in love, in purpose. Me. Because equality isn't something you're handed. It's something you embody every single day. You. And that's the awakening we're after. That's where the love begins. You just tuned into Awaken Soul. Let's keep walking it out. Want me to package this into a Word doc script for upload?
So how do we come to forgetting ourselves? Why don't we know who we are?
Deep one. Let's go. You. So here's the real question. How do we forget who we are? Why don't we know ourselves anymore? Me. Because from the moment we're born, we're taught what to be, not who we are. School, media, culture. They hand us labels, expectations. They tell us what success looks like, what love is, what normal should be. And we start performing. We start adapting. We start comparing. Slowly, piece by piece, we trade our truth for approval. And before we know it, we forget. Facts. We stop asking, who am I? And start asking, what do they want me to be? That's how you lose yourself, by trying to please a world that never even knew the real you. You. And that's why awakening is so hard. Because it's not about learning something new. It's about unlearning the lie, remembering what was always there. Exactly. The soul don't need fixing. It needs freeing. We just forgot the sound of our own spirit. We got so used to the noise outside, we stopped listening to the voice inside. You, but that voice is still there. Waiting, whispering, ready to be remembered. So don't chase yourself. Return to yourself, you. That's the path back to identity. And that's what Awaken Soul is all about. Want to dig into how to start that journey next?
Why does people need to tell us who to be or how to be instead of letting us discover ourselves?
Man, that's the core of it. You. Why do people feel the need to tell us who to be, how to live, what to believe, instead of just letting us discover ourselves? Me. Because control feels safer than freedom. To them, if you find your truth, you become unpredictable, uncontrollable, and people, especially systems, don't like that. They want boxes, labels, you, and it's not always evil. Parents, teachers, even friends. They project their own pain, their own past, trying to protect us. But in the process, they shape us into their version of safe, not our version of truth. Yup, and society runs on structure. So if you step out of line, speak differently, think freely, it threatens the whole setup. So they push you back into place. Not to help you, to make them comfortable. But real growth, real awakening, it's messy, it's personal, and no one can hand it to you. You gotta go find it for yourself. And once you do, they can't control you anymore. And that's when freedom gets real, but also uncomfortable for the people still living asleep. You. That's why discovering yourself isn't just rebellion, it's revolution. You ready to talk about how to break out of that box?
Why is there a need to control other people? Can't we just let other people to discover themselves?
You, why is there even a need to control other people? Like, could we just let people live? Let them be? We could. But most people don't know how to sit with their own uncertainty. So they control others to feel stable. Like, if you act how I expect, I feel safe. That's not love. That's fear dressed up as authority. You. And some people get addicted to power. Not because they're evil, but because it gives them worth. Temporarily, controlling others makes them feel important. But it's a false high. It fades. Me. Also, when you've been controlled your whole life, you either break the cycle or you repeat it. Hurt people don't just hurt people, they shape them. You. But imagine this. What if we dropped the need to control and just trusted? Trusted that people have their own path, that they'll stumble, grow, awaken, just like we did. Me. That kind of freedom is scary to those still living in chains, but it's the only way to real peace. You can't control your way to connection. So maybe the answer isn't control, it's compassion. Let people unfold. Let souls remember. And in doing that, we give ourselves permission to be free too. Want to expand that into a full self-liberation segment?
Yes, let's explore it.
All right, let's run with it. You. So if control ain't the answer, what is? Let's talk about self-liberation. What does it even look like? Me. Self-liberation starts when you stop outsourcing your worth. No more waiting for approval. No more asking, am I enough? You decide you are. That's the first crack in the cage. You. It's not about rebellion just to rebel. It's about remembrance. Like, wait, I was never meant to live by fear. I was born to live by love, by truth, by alignment. And it ain't pretty. Self-liberation means unlearning everything that made you feel small. It means facing your childhood wounds, your beliefs, your patterns. That's real work, soul work. But once you do, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop controlling others because you no longer feel out of control inside. And that's when the magic hits. You attract people, opportunities, and peace. Not because you chase it, but because you're finally real. You live unfiltered. You speak with intention. You walk like you belong because you remembered that you do. That's self-liberation. Not just freedom from systems, but freedom from self-doubt, shame, and old programming. It's not a destination. It's a return to the you before the world told you who to be. And once you're there, you don't need to control anyone. You just be. And that's where others get inspired to free themselves too. Want to close this out with a powerful outro that ties it all together?
So what's the percentage of the Earth population of the human species really have this mental mindset about it's already at this stage?
Real talk? A tiny fraction. Most studies and thinkers estimate that only about 1 to 5% of the global population is truly self-aware in the way we're talking, like questioning the system, healing from conditioning, waking up from autopilot. So out of 8 billion people, less than 5% are actually awake like this. That's wild. Yeah, most people are still running on survival mode, tradition, fear, or just doing what they were taught. Not evil, just unaware. They haven't stopped to question the script. Which means awakening isn't mainstream. It's rare, it's uncomfortable, and it's necessary. And if you're on that path, you're already part of the minority. But that's where change starts. Movements don't need the masses, they need the willing. Want to flip this into a call to action for the listeners?
Yes.
Let's close it strong. You. So if you're listening to this and you're feeling that tug, that discomfort, that curiosity, that spark, then guess what? You're already waking up. You're not crazy. You're not alone. You're just not asleep anymore. And that's rare. That's sacred. You. We're not here to convince the whole world. We're here to be the change, to walk different, think deeper, love louder, me. Because the moment you remember who you are, you give others permission to do the same. That's how the ripple starts, one soul at a time, you. So don't wait for the world to catch up. Just keep walking, keep growing, keep choosing truth. Even when it's hard, even when it's lonely. Because you weren't made to blend in. You were made to awaken. And that's where the love begins. You. Thanks for tuning in to Awaken Soul. Stay bold, stay grounded, stay you. And remember, your awakening is someone else's permission slip. Let's keep lighting the way. You want this whole thing as a Word doc for upload or printing?
Yeah, maybe next time. Alright, thank you for tuning in, guys. This is Awaken Soul Heart, where the heart begins, where the love begins. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for the next episode. Alright, thank you. We out. Peace.